Bienvenidos a WrestleMania con el luchador, el protector del mundo, señor, el F de la biblioteca, Brion Stoutarm. What's up, everybody? Welcome to some Brion WrestleMania. Hopefully, you're still sitting at your computer. As far as opening hand goes, yes, I love this. That intro is so just insanely loud sometimes. I do apologize to the people who are watching this in the morning. They're like, my God, Joel, what is wrong? But anyway, welcome. Hope you're excited. Hope you have your lucha mask on. Let's go and lead off with Temple of Triumph, and let's go to get the scry going. The scurry, the fever, the insanity, the descent into... We're playing against slow player 1, too, which is really cool. Blistering Firecat, let's go and put that on the bottom. That is not exactly what we want to see right now. But yes, welcome to Brion WrestleMania. And then I got some Boros versus Boros. It's always fun getting some color matchups like this. We are playing Brion WrestleMania. Lifelink, and then for a 1 red mana activation, sacrifice another creature. Brion deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target player or planeswalker. Playing against Argus, I think that's how you say it. Yeah. Agrus? No, excuse me, Agrus. Playing against Agrus, whenever Agrus attacks, attacking red creatures get +2/+0, and then attacking white creatures get +0/+2 until end of turn. So, hopefully we can convince some of those creatures to join our side of the wrestling ring. It's going to get down Arid Mesa, and then anything else, we're going to kick it back over to our opponent. So we cover both commanders. It is free time. We can talk about whatever we want. That's going to be wrestling. With Brion WrestleMania, he's actually been a long-time staple of the channel, and... I don't know, it's just one of those, I've always enjoyed playing Brion, and actually a little bit of a channel history. Brion started out as Gym Day, let's get our arms going because we're going to be throwing creatures, but and it quickly somehow just progressed from Arm Day to Brion WrestleMania to that insane opening. I don't know, it did, somehow it happened. Let's go ahead and go for Arid Mesa, let's go and grab Plateau, and we'll go for Tormenting Voice, and then I'll dig a little bit deeper into our library and see what we're going to draw into. So, let's go for Tormenting Voice. We're going to get rid of Mountain at this point right now, since we do have at least another Mountain in our hand, and let's go and get rid of another Mountain. Let's go ahead, that's going to be the land, oh, excuse me. I meant to click on Windscarred Crag. Anything else? No. We're gonna and then Windscarred Crag, that reminds me, I don't know what video it was, but I almost called Windscarred Crag Windscarred Craig. And I just really like to imagine like this guy that just stands out in the desert and he didn't wear the proper attire and he got windscarred pretty bad. So whenever I see that card, I always think about that. But yeah, so we're looking at getting down Brion next turn. That's going to give us a full forward lifelink. In the world of 2/2s, Brion will definitely be king, especially with that lifelink. That's going to really negate the aggressiveness from our opponent. So I will definitely welcome that. Drawn to, man, we've got tons of removal. This is just silly. Let's go to get down Mountain. Let's go and go for Mr. Brion himself. He's going to slide into the ring all the way down from the entrance as the audience cheers, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So probably the first thing that we definitely want to convince to join our side of the battlefield will be Field Marshal. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. So once we gain control of Field Marshal, that will allow us to go for a Brion activation, and we can throw Field Marshal out of the wrestling ring, because that's going to at least get rid of that. More than likely, we're looking at a Soldier Tribal. Unfortunately, this is a little bit of a meta game against Slow Player 1. I've seen their decks before, and they tend to run a lot of Soldier Tribals from really good synergy decks. And so getting rid of some sort of Tribal Lord would definitely be to our best advantage. So we're definitely going to go for that, especially with something like Shared Animosity. Thankfully, we do have Chaos Warp in the hand, so if we want to stop some of that, because Shared Animosity... that shares a creature type with it. So that's going to be soldiers and humans. So that's definitely something that we need to watch out for. Now, if we do know going for Swords to Plowshare and Path to Exile, that will at least kind of stop some of the stuff that our opponent's got going on. Because you look at that, that's going to be 9. That's going to be at least 13 coming across, put us all the way down. Yeah, we're going to let this go and go through. Not super wild about it, but we'll go all the way down to 10. And then hopefully we can kind of stabilize from there with Swords to Plowshare, Chaos Warp, and Path to Exile. Okay, drawn to Mountain. So we go for 5 mana. That's going to give us access to 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's going to be a brutal turn. But we can do that. Let's do this. Let's go and swing in for Brion. That's going to get rid of everything on our opponent's side of the battlefield. Let's go and swing it for 4. That's going to allow us to gain a little bit of life, put them down to 26, and then that's going to put us back up to 14. And then go for Chaos Warp, Swords, and Path to Exile. So that's going to be if you basically going to be our opponent's 2 front tires blowing out at the exact same time. Once we go for that shared animosity and swords and chaos war. But hey, so it makes Commander fun sometimes. You get to put the sleeper hold on your opponent. Most of the time with Brion, we're doing the Rey Mysterio 619, throwing them out of the ring. But on this one, this is going to be putting them in the sleeper hold. Okay, so before they attack, let's go and go for. Let's do this. Let's go for Path to Exile on Field Marshal. Let's go for Swords to Plowshare on Thundering Trumpeter. Thundersong Trumpeter. This is the first time I've seen this card. That's some pretty wild looking art. Let's go for Swords on Trumpeter. And then that way we at least get rid of that shared animosity. And if, we'll just go and go for. Well, let's wait for them to attack, because maybe they have a hasty creature or something like that. And that's basically a little baby Boros recruit out there. I was going to go for Chaos Warp on shared animosity. That way they can't simply rebuild for that. Sorry. Yeah, that is a, I don't know. Oh, that's a pretty good trade for our opponent. Getting Uwazama's Jitte off of that shared animosity. At least we can kind of work with that Uwazama's Jitte. So. And also, whatever sort of creature they get down, hopefully we can go for that Harness by Force and then kind of send that creature back up top. Thankfully, with Uwazama's Jitte, they will be able to get those charge counters on there, but thankfully with Brion being a 4/4, that's at least going to allow us to get out from underneath that -1/-1. Now, once they do get 4 charge counters on there, that will not be a lot of fun, but at least we have something to do about it. Let's go to get down Windscarred Craig, as he's standing out in the desert. And they have no haste option at this point right now, so I think what we want to do is simply just swing in with Brion again. That's really going to allow us to negate the Boros recruit damage that they're doing. And then we'll keep our fingers crossed for some sort of card draw. That's what we're going for. Let's go and swing in with Brion. Well, actually, let's just go and hold off on to Brion. If they want to swing in with Jitte, they certainly can. That's going to be 1 damage, and that won't be enough charge counters with Jitte to do anything with Brion. We could try to start pushing them out with commander damage, but depending on what sort of creature they get down of some sort of haste option, I kind of like at least leaving up Brion at this point right now. Now, the only downside with, now that I think about it, if they go for their commander, it's going to give, Boros Recruit's going to be able to turn into a 3/3 with first strike, and then that's going to give them access to Jitte, too, which is not going to be a lot of fun. That has put us on going for hard. Yeah, we probably should have swung in now that I think about it. But that happens sometimes. All right, they're going to go for the Door of Destinies. And yeah, our opponent did say that pretty simple. It's just red, white, soldier, tribal. But if you haven't had the Soul Player 1, I've played against him or her a lot on the channel. And they always have some really good and really tight Boros aggro decks, or, mono white aggro decks or soldier decks. So if you want to check out some of the, unfortunately, I don't have them tagged by Soul Player 1. I'll have to start doing that, or at least kind of making a playlist of Slow Player 1 matches. But he or she has some wonderful decks. So if you're ever looking for some kind of cool commander decks to build, I highly recommend maybe hitting up Slow Player 1 on Magic Online. I'm sure that person would enjoy talking to you or sharing some of their deck list. I never ask for their deck list because I don't know if Slow Player 1 wants to give it out or something like that. So, okay. So we got Boros Recruit. Do we want to let that... No, excuse me. They're only going to get that bonus whenever they attack. Yeah, we'll go and trade. Because we're going for Brion next turn. We can't... Well, actually... Yeah, that's fine. Let's go and let that come across. Because we end up blocking, that'll be 2 damage to Brion. They can do 2 Jitte counters on Brion, and then next turn we can at least gain control of their commander with Harness by Force. And actually, we have enough mana to go for, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll actually have enough mana to go for double Harness of Force, and actually end up with some really nice extra damage getting rid of the veteran. So that'd be pretty cool. I like that. We can toss the veteran out of the ring. All right, so we've drawn to Rugged Prairie. Let's go and get down a Command Tower, and let's go and go for Harness by Force. We're going to choose our opponent's commander and little Gerblin. Let's make sure we did that right. So Harness by Force, Boros Recruit, and then I think that's going to be it. Let's make sure we did that okay. That's going to, yeah. All right, it's going to be triple red. And that still gives us the Brion activation. Look at that. Beautiful. Gain control of any number of target creatures, untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. That's going to give us some... Look at this, instant army in a can. And we can also do those charge counters, I think. No, we can't, because our opponent does control those. Let's go and swing in with Boros Recruit and the and our opponent's commander. Slow Fire must say, please don't throw them at me. Let's go and swing him with Boros Recruit. And sorry, Brion's been itching to go for some Rey Mysterio. So we're going to go and swing him with the crew. And that's going to be some good damage too. And this is what makes Brion so much fun, is that you get some damage in. We're going to knock our opponent down to 20. And then we get to throw them over the top with the Brion WrestleMania on the back end. That's going to put 2 charge counters on there, unfortunately. And then let's go ahead and go for... put them down once we get down the Argus activation. Now, if they want to, they can force some of those Jitte activation, but we're going to go for it now. Let's go and go for Brion. We're going to choose our opponent for 5. Let's go and pay red, and we're going to send Rey Mysterio 619, our opponent's commander, into the audience. So there we go. Thanks for coming out here, Agrus. It's getting nice throwing you over there. So we're going to deal that damage up top. The only downside, like I mentioned, is Jitte does have those counters on there now. So that will allow them to get rid of Brion. So Brion's going to slip and fall out of the ring after throwing our opponent's commander. But we can still recast it, and it's going to get rid of all the charge counters on that Boros Recruit. Now, as far as our opponent's mana, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That will allow them to recast their commander, and we can still get Brion back down next turn. Things that we want to see at this point right now is going to be some sort of game control. It's kind of pretty much anybody's game at this point right now. Our opponent's sitting at 15, and we are sitting at 17. So if we can get some sort of game control, or even something like Faithless Looting, just to dig a little bit deeper into our library, that'll allow us to kind of stabilize. We do have Mind's Eye. That's another source of card draw. Hedron Archive is another source of card draw. And if we can find something like Mimic Vat, or even something like Stoneforge Mystic to grab something, that'll definitely allow us to get a little bit of extra value. Because that's one of the downsides. We're playing Boros versus Boros, and we both get down to about 2 cards in the hand. It just kind of turns into this... really slow crawl of a game, because both of us are just kind of clawing with our fingernails to get something done. Okay, opponent's going to be swinging with Boros Recruit. That will be a 3-3. And even if we find something like Disenchant or Crush Contraband to deal with Uazama's Jitte, that'll help us kind of stabilize. All right, draw the Mana Confluence is not exactly what we wanted to see. Let's go and get down Rugged Prairie. Let's go and go for Brion. At this point, even if something does happen to Brion, we've got more than enough mana to recast Brion, so especially with us having 2 lanes in the hand. Let's go to get down Brion, and then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. The only downside is we are looking at Agrus swinging in for a pretty good chunk of damage with that Door of Destiny is getting pretty big. Now, as far as some of the new additions to the deck, we did add, I can't remember the last time that I recorded Brion, but I try to maintain a lot of decks in between sets, even if we don't get a video with them. So as far as the new card to the deck, we do have Captivating Crew, which is from Exelon, which is absolutely wonderful Brion card. 4 mana creature, you get to go for an activation to gain control of a creature, which is absolutely perfect. We do have Evra, which is the 6 mana, I think, Angel, which we can pay like, I think 4 mana activation to switch our life totals, which is always a great way to, let's say we get down Evra, we switch life totals. That's going to allow us to throw that Evra at our opponent and deal a huge chunk of damage in there. And as far as any other new cards in the deck, I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm looking at our list right now. Other than that, it's just a ton of gain control spells. It always makes it really interesting when you can gain control of your, it's always nice to run removal, Swords of Plowshare and Path to Exile and stuff, but really where this deck shines is basically having your removal being grabbing your opponent's creatures. But let's see where our opponent's going to get down for the turn. Okay, so we got Sun Home Enforcer, and I love this art. That is some beautiful art. Whenever it deals combat damage, you gain that much life, so basically lifelink. And then for a 2 mana activate, oh, they they drew back into Shared Animosity. Oh no, this is not going good. We need to hit Wrath of God. That's something that we definitely need to hit. So I'm going to get that, hopefully we're not dead. Let's see. That's going to be 9. That's going to be 15. Yeah, we're going to have to offer up some blocks on this one. Let's go for Brion. This is not going good for Brion. We're under the ropes right now. Agrus has us under the ropes, and he's getting ready to put the sleeper hold. All right, that's going to put us down to 7. So at this point right now, we need Faithless Looting to dig a little bit deeper in our library to find Wrath of God. But we're pretty much on board wipe or bust at this point right now. We don't really have any sort of creatures in a can at this point to kind of stabilize. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we don't get the chokehold in the ropes. Crush Contraband. Okay. A little late to the party. We can grab Door of Destinies and Shared Animosity off of that. Let's go and get down Mountain. But I think that's game, because even if we tap out for Brion, we're looking at how much mana? That's going to be 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to be us completely tapping out. That's going to keep us off of Crush Contraband. and then they're going to be able to swing in. We're still going to, let's go and get down Brion, though. Maybe something happens. Maybe they're scared of another, well, we've already burned through, I was about to say, maybe we can make them scared of Path to Exile or Swords of Plows or something. We've already burned through them, getting rid of the board state. But we'll go and get down Brion, and then we'll go and pass the turn. But pretty much opponent's going to get it with those Jitte activations and clear the way for them to swing in. So, good game. As always, worth just to force them to get rid of those Jitte activations. But you definitely see where opponents got a pretty good deck. You can see where something like just Shared Animosity and just some sort of just tribal build is just more than enough to put too much pressure on Brion in the ring to where we can't get him out of there. But we did get a really nice Rey Mysterio 6/19 our opponent's commander, so I would definitely take that. It's always the kind of one of the things that we're looking for with Brion, at least getting to throw something, some sort of creature over the ring back in our opponent's face. So good game to our opponent. They're going to be able to close that out with Door of Destinies and Shared Animosity, especially that Sun Home Enforcer. That's I'll take this, a Boros loss like that all the time. So a very honorable death, and that's going to put us down to -18. Good game to our opponent. Like I mentioned, if you want to if you're on Magic Online, hit up Soul Player One. They tend to have a ton of awesome decks if you're ever looking to build, some sort of tribal deck. Highly recommend at least hitting them up for some sort of conversation if they want to have that. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.